All right, we are live, episode 3. Sorry, guys, for some of the technical difficulties. We had to do some moves to get live. We have hijacked the TFTV YouTube channel. You are not catching us at our usual place, but we have guests today.
Leon, just really quick, just so everyone's aware, like I think going forward, when Leon and I are trying to figure out the technical pieces of this, if Zoom continues to give us a problem this way, we may have to put up links to YouTube and then watch it from YouTube. And then what we can do afterwards is we can record the video and then put it onto the Facebook page. But we literally were playing with it for an hour and a half trying to figure this out. So sorry again, but without further ado, that young man that is standing there with Shania Twain, Adam, is here. So Adam, we want to just take this chance to get to know you a little better, kind of talk about what led you to the place you are today, because you're doing some really cool stuff, and I'd love to get a chance to get to know you, and I know a lot of folks out here would like to get to know you better too. So if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you into this place.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate the opportunity. I think it started with being a baseball fan. I was born in 1986, so I was like 6-ish when the Jays did their first World Series run in 92. And I got really into that team and baseball. I played t-ball when I was a kid. The first thing I ever bought when I had like $9.99 saved up from allowance was I got a Tampa Bay Lightning snapback, please forgive me, hat. And that was really the beginning. And then up and away from there. That picture that Leon had up there with Shania Twain, that was the first fitted hat that I purchased and fit into. So I had to hold on to it for like a year and a half. I think it was like a 6 7/8. I was 9 years old in that picture, just waiting for my head to grow into it. But I guess I was walking down the street and she had a thing for guys that were wearing, I guess, a lot of Michigan type stuff. I had that sweet Bugs Bunny Michigan shirt on, and the 94 Tigers road alternate. So I was able to snag a picture.
Adam, I'll tell you what, man, you're going to impress a lot of people, because I think the area of the country that most people are from in FHS is Detroit. Right, Leon, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, most of the originators of the group are all in the Detroit area, Michigan, bunch of truckers. So yeah.
There we go. I've had it in the works since 95.
There you go.
Yes. Well, you started nice and early. And listen, I'd love to know more about how you got next to Shania Twain. How'd that work out?
That was she was doing some sort of like a signing promotional thing the summer that her big hit album came out, and my parents got really into alternative country music. They're no longer really into alternative country music, but at the time I was signing, so we went out.
Yeah. Well, Adam, thanks. So tell us more about like your love for hats. Like what is it about hats that just like that gets that engine revving, Adam?
I think when you're a kid, being able to wear something that you associate so closely with athletes. So for me, it's like my heroes are Roberto Alomar growing up, and Joe Carter, and Jimmy Key was my favorite Jays player because I'm left-handed and he was a left-handed pitcher. So being able to wear something that looks like it was plucked off the field, you don't really have that in hockey. I can't really wear a bucket around the streets, and football, the jersey just doesn't look the same as the pads, but baseball, it translates perfectly. You throw that fitted on, and it's like you stepped right off the diamond.
Yeah, I've had a chance. I've gone on your website countless times, and I'm always peeking around in the vault, and I've wiped you out of 7 1/4 multiple times. So
yeah, I might have a couple more hiding out in the back corner of the vault that might go up sooner than later.
Nice. So listen, the other thing we wanted to do is we know about your love of hats, right? And I wanted to hear more about your love of specific hats. So you had some hats that you want to show us today and kind of kind of tell us about. So why don't you do that for us? I'd love to hear more about these hats.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, whenever I wear a hat, it's a statement. It's something that I'm going to have some sort of a connection to. There's a backstory, or if it's something that that I've gotten, elsewhere, I want to know, what's the brand about? I'm not just going to throw something random on my head. So
Yeah.
for me, there's always going to be some sort of sentimental, personal connection. So the first one I'm going to start out with, like we were talking about before, I have the Jays 92 World Series side patch on field. When I think about these are my earliest memories of baseball. We're watching the Jays run around on the field. They beat the Atlanta Braves. Sorry to anybody from Atlanta. Shout out to Dank Wayne. So there's that one. Like we mentioned before too, I look for this hat for years. For me now, a big thing of collecting is going back to the hats that I had when I was a kid and didn't take care of and lost along the way. Now I want to get those back in the collection. So this one I tracked down at Mickey's Place last year. I said, it's a 94 Detroit Road alternate. No Batterman, no flag on the temple.
Yeah.
And I was really happy to get this one back in the collection. Another special one for me too is I've been collecting hats since I was old enough to have disposable income, but there was a real explosion around maybe 2008. And that kind of coincided with Brandiose, but back then they were called the Clink Room, was really dropping a lot of really off the wall stuff. They hadn't gotten into designing a ton of MILB logos yet. So some of the stuff they were putting out was just insane. This is one of my favorite, like, cherished Grail hats. It's Syracuse. The Syracuse Chiefs. It's like almost like a prototype. So they call it Phase 2 on the back.
Yeah.
With the cork underbrim. I think they did a Clearwater Threshers version of this. I'm not sure how many other ones, but individually numbered. So 150 pieces. I got number 12 again.
Wow.
Shout out to Robbie Alomar.
There you go.
And this was one that I picked up. And at the time, I think it was pretty expensive by fitted hat standards back then, but I just had to have this in the collection. Another one, I think this might be another Clink Room design, but when this one came out, I had to have it. This is the Stockton Ports alternate holding the sprig of asparagus. So Stockton is the asparagus exporting capital of the U.S. It's in California. When my wife and I were on our honeymoon in 2013, I made sure that whatever route we took to get from Yosemite back to the coast took us through Stockton, and I was able to stop in and pick this hat up from the stadium. And just randomly walking in regular business hours, I bumped into the president of the team. So I let him know, we're here from Toronto, Canada, and my wife so graciously let us detour, and we had a good chat about minor league baseball, which is one of the things I love, just how accessible it is. And you bump into like team brass in the parking lot. This last one, Ricky from Atlanta helped hook me up with this a few years ago. It's the band BP. I don't know how many of these are floating around there. I know that a few kind of flew the coop before they were able to keep it under wraps, but this was one that I don't wear that often, but I like having it in the collection. It's like if you're into collecting like coins and stuff, one of those double stamped coins. It's got that rare. I'll do one more. This one's like an honorable mention.
Nice.
But back when I was starting to pick up steam with collecting in high school, I used to skip school once a month and go into downtown Toronto. I lived in a suburb called Scarborough, which is like maybe, a 20-minute subway ride away. So I would skip school. I'd go down to the Sky Dome at that time before it was the Rogers Center. And the Jays team store was like a hole in the wall out in the corner of the stadium, dingy, but they had a wall of fitteds that were always $20. And I picked up some gems in there. And this is one of them. It's an AL umpire's hat. You can get these now. In fact, I think I got one back here somewhere. But the ones now, here we go. The ones now have a couple of notable changes. So this one has American. This is the re-release.
Yeah.
It's got American for the American League. This one doesn't. And this, we all know that the brim has 8 layers or 8 stripes of stitching. This one has 6 made to be worn frontwards with the mask over top. So I really like this one. This one has been beat up and driven hard and put away wet, but this will never leave the collection.
Nice. Adam, do us a favor, man. Take us, like, first of all, I want to know what the cash register is all about back there. And then why don't you just show us how you're set up back there? That looks pretty cool.
Yeah, so the cash register I picked up from an elderly Polish auto mechanic.
Okay.
He had this up for sale. The cash drawer was locked and he didn't have the key. So the first thing I did when I got home was try to break in to see what kind of treasures from the past were in there.
Yeah.
Fortunately, there is nothing in the cash drawer. But the thing weighs, it must weigh like 75, 80 pounds. I can barely move it on my own. So nobody's going to be walking off with that. So yeah, just a nice little piece to tie the hat room together.
Yeah.
Cashed out at $59.50, of course, $59.59.
It's badass, man. That's badass. Your setup's really cool, man.
Thanks,
really
man.
cool.
I appreciate it. Well, likewise. Look at this. You got like the Connecticut flagship store. I'm trying to hold down the Durham region flagship store here.
Yeah.
This was some store fixtures that were given to me by a guy that I knew. He was a assistant manager of a store that had a New Era account. So they got a lot of signage and merchandising and fixtures and stuff like that. He was going through their warehouse one day and calls me up and he's like, "Hey, come by the store. I have something for you. Nobody's going to miss it," because it was sitting in the back corner wrapped up. I didn't know what it was, but I figured it was something New Era. Brought it home and unwrapped it and was blown away. So I put up the slat wall. My wife gifted me the hat racks for Christmas a few years ago. And this is where I keep kind of like the A-team, the hats that are like everyday wear. So the method to the madness here is that top row is Jays, followed by other Toronto sports teams, Argos, Raptors, Leafs. The second and third rows are all affiliated baseball teams, MILB teams, MLB teams, throwback, current on-field, a little mix of everything. And then the bottom is all like streetwear brands. Wow. So all separated by color just to make sorting a little bit easier when you're trying to find one.
So where would my Red Sox go?
There are 2 teams that are not included in my collection of hats. One of them is the Boston Red Sox and the other one is the New York Yankees. If you want to look at it in a positive light, let's just say I'm leaving more for the true fans to pick up. I don't want to be in there competing for hats for any of those,
Well, I appreciate you looking out for me, Adam, and making sure that there's enough Red Sox hats for me and my Boston brothers. So thank you.
Well,
my pleasure.
You guys would compete against each other, being the same size.
That's right. We're both 7 1/4.
Yeah, no Bo Sox 7 1/4 on my head. So they're all yours, Pierre. I did go to Fenway last summer though on a baseball trip, and I will say it is unbelievable. Anybody that's on the fence about going, you got to hit those old stadiums while you can. Wrigley and
Fenway. Listen, aside from the tight seating, it's beautiful, man. It's a real baseball haven.
Absolutely.
It's unbelievable, and the whole area around it is unbelievable too.
Oh yeah, really fun spot. We had a blast. Saw the Jays play there. They beat the Red Sox. I think that was like their 21st win of the season, and it happened in late August. But still,
you got to take those wins against Boston when you can, because they don't happen very often.
Exactly. Yes, cherish them. We partied like we won the World Series afterwards.
That's right.